Let's be real. We all crave connection. We want to be seen, celebrated, not compared or contested. But sometimes we sense something unspoken, a tension behind the smile, a subtle shift in tone when we succeed. And deep down, we wonder, are they truly rooting for me or silently racing me? This isn't about paranoia. It's about protecting our peace. Because some of the most emotionally exhausting dynamics are with people who wear the mask of closeness while silently keeping score. At first, it's subtle. You land that job you've been praying for, launch the project you've been building in silence, finally reach a milestone that took everything in you to achieve. You're glowing. I'm excited. You share your good news, and what you're met with isn't exactly bad, but it's not what you expected either. They smile, but it's hype. They say that's great, but it's delayed, almost like they had to force it out. Or worse, they pivot the conversation away. Suddenly, the energy shifts. You can feel it. It's as if your joy created discomfort instead of celebration. When someone is secretly competing with you, your wins feel like losses to them. They aren't trying to be supportive. They're quietly measuring themselves against your moment. Instead of, wow, I'm proud of you, their inner voice says, why them and not me? And that unspoken tension becomes the wall between you. They might not openly criticize. They might not be cruel. But their inability to fully show up in your joy is loud. It shows in the way they nod without enthusiasm, the way they forget to follow up, the way they vanish just when you thought they'd be clapping the loudest. And over time, this starts to wear on you. You begin shrinking your wins, downplaying your success just to make them comfortable. You find yourself editing your excitement, turning joy into a quiet whisper, because something in you already knows they're not truly happy for you. They're threatened by you. Here's the truth no one wants to admit. When someone is in silent competition with you, your light casts a shadow on their insecurities. Your progress challenges their pace. Your growth reminds them of where they feel stuck. But real connection doesn't flinch at someone else's rise. It celebrates it. Genuine friends don't keep score. They cheer loudly and mean it. They don't vanish when you shine. They show up front row, screaming your name. So if someone in your life struggles to celebrate your wins, pause. Not to blame them, but to protect your peace. You are not responsible for making your joy more digestible. You don't have to dim your light just because someone else refuses to do the inner work. Your success is not arrogance. Your growth is not a threat. And the right people, they'll never make you question that. There's a quiet kind of betrayal that doesn't come with an argument or a dramatic fallout. It comes with borrowed words, stolen style, ideas repackaged in someone else's voice. It's not loud, but it's constant, and it chips away at something sacred, your sense of originality. At first, you brush it off. Maybe it's a coincidence. Maybe you inspired them, but then it keeps happening. They start using your phrases, the exact ones you've used. They replicate your ideas and suddenly present them like they just thought of it themselves. They mimic your aesthetic, your mannerisms, even your way of showing up in the world, and they never say your name. They copy, but they never credit. They admire, but refuse to acknowledge. And that silence, that erasure, it's not innocent. It's intentional. Because when someone is secretly competing with you, giving you credit feels like losing. Mentioning your name feels like admitting you had something they didn't. So instead of honoring your impact, they bury it. They present your essence as their own. They absorb your identity piece by piece, not because they love you, but because they want to outdo you in your own lane. It's disorienting. You find yourself second guessing your reaction. Maybe I'm just being petty. Maybe I should be flattered. Maybe it's not that deep, but it is that deep, because true inspiration is honest. It says, you change something in me. It says, you help me find this part of myself. And it says, thank you. But when someone is copying to compete, they don't want to honor your voice. They want to be your voice. And they do it quietly, strategically, so that everyone claps for them without knowing they're clapping for you. This kind of dynamic is especially painful because it's hard to name. You sound egotistical for calling it out. You feel paranoid for noticing it. But deep down, you know, and your intuition keeps tugging at your sleeve saying, this isn't love. This isn't admiration. This is extraction. And here's what's most important to remember. You are not overreacting for protecting your work, your voice, your truth. You are not selfish for wanting acknowledgement. You are not wrong for expecting integrity from people who claim to care. The right people, they'll cite you. They'll shout your name in rooms you're not in. They'll say, I learned this from them without ego, without competition, without hesitation. Because people who are truly secure don't fear giving credit. They know that recognizing others doesn't dim their light, it expands it. So if someone keeps copying you without acknowledgement, don't shrink or silence yourself. Don't stop creating. Don't stop being bold. Let them chase your echo while you keep evolving beyond their reach. Because originality doesn't need permission. And the ones who truly know who they are, they don't need to steal it from you. It's not just about milestones, it's about the quiet battles you fought when no one was watching. It's the boundaries you finally honored, the self-respect you reclaimed, the emotional healing you clawed your way toward. Growth doesn't always look glamorous. Sometimes it's messy, lonely, exhausting, but it's yours, and it matters. So when you begin to change, when you speak with more clarity, stand with more confidence, protect your peace with more conviction, you expect that the people closest to you will notice, and not just notice, but honor it. But then it happens. You start showing up differently, and instead of encouragement, you get subtle sarcasm. Oh, wow, someone's all spiritual now. Did you read that in a self-help book? So you're a therapist now. What happened to the old you? And it stings, not because their words are sharp, but because they're small. They're meant to make you feel like your evolution is a joke, a phase, a trend. They wrap their discomfort in humor. But let's call it what it is, insecurity speaking, because your growth reflects what they're not ready to face. Your healing disrupts their narrative. Your evolution challenges their comfort. And instead of rising with you, they try to pull you back with laughter, dismissal, and passive-aggressive digs. It's hard as you start to question yourself. Am I being fake? Have I changed too much? Maybe I'm not as grounded as I thought. But hear this clearly. When someone is secretly competing with you, they need you to stay the version of yourself they're used to, the version they feel superior to, the version they can manage, predict, or even pity. They don't want the strong you. They don't want the boundary setting you. They don't want the you who finally realized your worth and stopped playing small to keep others comfortable. So they minimize, they mock, they downplay, not because your growth isn't real, but because it is. Here's what's wild. People who do this often believe they're keeping you grounded. But grounding doesn't feel like humiliation. It doesn't feel like condescension. It doesn't feel like someone patting you on the head and saying, that's cute, but let's be real. True support recognizes the work you've done. True friends say, I see you trying. I see you showing up for yourself. And I'm proud of you. They don't poke fun at your healing. They protect it. They don't criticize your progress. They clap for it. So if someone in your life constantly minimizes your evolution, pay attention. You don't need to fight for validation from people committed to misunderstanding your journey. You don't need to justify your glow to those who benefited from your dimness. And you never need to explain your growth to those who are secretly competing with it. Because growth isn't up for debate. It's not a performance. It's a revolution, and you don't owe anyone comfort during your becoming. You're sharing your life, something you're proud of, something meaningful, something that took courage to say out loud. Maybe it's a personal win. Maybe it's something you're healing from. Or maybe it's just a moment where you're finally feeling seen. But before your sentence can even settle into the space, they jump in. Oh yeah, I've done that too, except mine was way harder. That's nothing. Listen to what happened to me. Wow, when I went through that, I handled it so differently. You were being vulnerable, and suddenly it's a competition. This is what quiet one-upping looks like. It's not always dramatic or aggressive. It's a subtle shift in energy, a kind of conversational hijacking. It's the way they listen to respond, not to connect. They aren't here to hold space for your story. They're just waiting for their turn to outshine it. And let's be honest, it's exhausting. Because every time you try to share something real, it gets flattened under the weight of their need to prove something. One-uppers don't celebrate your journey, they compare it. If you're excited, they're more excited. If you've struggled, they've struggled harder. If you've learned something, they already knew it and probably taught it to someone else. Your experiences don't land in safety, they land in measurement. And when that becomes a pattern, you stop feeling seen, you start feeling small. What's worse is how subtle it can be. It's not always overt. Sometimes it's masked as encouragement. Oh, that's cute. You're finally trying that. I've been doing it for years. Or disguised as bonding. I totally relate when I did something way more intense. Here's how it went. But here's the truth underneath all of it. One-upping is rarely about you. It's about them. It's about their fragile sense of self. It's about needing to feel superior, even if only for a moment. It's about using your story as a springboard to talk about theirs. Because in their inner world, life isn't about connection, it's about comparison. They don't want to share the spotlight, they want to own it. And that becomes painfully clear over time. You start bringing things up. You start withholding your excitement, your breakthroughs, your stories, because deep down, you know they won't be received with care. They'll be met with competition. And slowly, the relationship stops feeling safe. But let's name what needs to be named. You are not wrong for wanting to share without being overshadowed. You are not selfish for wanting to be celebrated without it becoming a measuring contest. You're not too sensitive. You're tuned in. Because true connection doesn't require comparison. It doesn't rush to one up. It leans in. It says, tell me more. It holds your joy without inserting itself. It holds your pain without outmatching it. So when someone keeps one-upping you, that's not intimacy. It's insecurity dressed up in conversation. You don't need to silence your voice to protect someone else's ego. You don't have to shrink your joy so someone else can feel taller. And you never, ever need to play small in a game you didn't agree to play. You can walk away from conversations that feel like contests. You can surround yourself with people who don't just hear you, but honor you. Because that's what real connection is built on: mutual respect, emotional safety, and the shared freedom to just be. It's a strange, hollow silence. You finally reached a place that once lived only in your daydreams, healing, success, peace, purpose. You're not bragging, you're not showing off, you're simply sharing your joy. And for a moment, you're hoping the people who say they love you will feel that joy with you. But instead of support, you get absence. Not anger, not confrontation, just distance. Just a sudden drop in connection that you can feel even before you see it. They don't call like they used to. And their replies get shorter. They stop showing up to the things that matter. There's no congratulations. Now I'm proud of you. Just silence.